You know, usually when we think about a simple retail transaction, there's this expectation of a really straightforward exchange.
Right, like it should be totally frictionless.
Exactly. It's kind of like a vending machine. You put the money in, you press a button, like, I don't know, D4, and the machine just drops a bag of chips.
Input equals output.
Yeah, input equals output.
Yeah.
It's mechanical, it's clean, and you really don't have to think about it at all.
And it's comforting, you know? We generally like commerce to be simple. We want it to be completely binary.
Right.
Like, you have the item, I have the money, we swap, and we just part ways.
But if you step through the doors of a modern cafe, that whole vending machine predictability just completely vanishes.
Oh, it's gone.
We're suddenly looking at an interactive landscape that functions much more like a theatrical performance. So today, we're taking a magnifying glass to a really fascinating, highly relatable piece of source material.
Yeah, it's a great one.
It's this very brief scenario titled The Barista and the Bewildered Customer. And our mission for this deep dive is to break down this seemingly mundane, everyday interaction. We want to see what it actually reveals about, communication, power dynamics.
Those invisible social scripts.
Yes. The scripts we all follow without even realizing it.
It's honestly remarkable how much psychological weight is carried in just a few seconds of dialogue. And the source text gives us a very tight parameter to work within here.
Right. It's wonderfully concise. We're basically looking at a single interaction at a cafe counter between two specific individuals. Person A is the barista, and person B is explicitly described in our source as a bewildered customer. And person B's goal is incredibly simple. They are just trying to order a coffee and a pastry.
That's it.
That's it. And to understand this, we're going to zero in on two specific phrases used in this transaction. The first is, can I get A? And the second is, to go or stay.
I mean, on the surface, that's just a standard coffee order, right? But the subtext is incredibly dense, because before we even get to the specific words that are spoken, we really have to look at the architecture of the environment itself.
Okay, let's unpack this, because context really dictates the script here, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. We need to establish who is speaking and the inherent imbalance in their dynamic. The source material defines two very distinct roles, starting with person A, the barista.
Who's not just a person making coffee.
Exactly. In the microenvironment of the cafe, person A isn't just an employee. They are like the absolute authority figure.
Oh, totally.
They control the machinery, they control the product, and most importantly, they control the physical space behind that counter.
They are the gatekeepers.
They really are the gatekeeper.
All right.
And then you have person B, who the text explicitly defines as the bewildered customer.
Okay, and this is what I keep getting stuck on, because their goal is so basic.
Right.
They just want a coffee and a pastry, like a hot beverage and a baked good. Why is ordering something so simple enough to make someone bewildered?
Well,
if I walk into a hardware store to buy a hammer, I don't feel bewildered,
Yeah, that's a good point.
So for you listening, think about it. Is it because the menu is overwhelming, or is it the sheer social pressure of performing this specific ordering ritual correctly in front of person A?
I definitely argue it's the latter. A cafe order is essentially this high-speed negotiation disguised as a simple transaction.
A high-speed negotiation, I like that.
Yeah, because person B's bewilderment doesn't come from not knowing what a coffee is.
Right, they know what coffee is.
It stems from having to navigate a highly rigid, completely unwritten set of rules just to fulfill a basic need. Person A holds all the structural power in this scenario.
Because they live there, basically.
Exactly. They know the pacing, they know the vernacular, they know the sequence of operations. Person B is walking into person A's domain.
It's literally like stepping onto a stage, right? You know the audience is watching, you know the lights are on you, but you haven't been given the script.
And let's look at the specific variables the source introduces. The text specifies they are trying to order a coffee and a pastry.
Right.
It's a compound request. It's not just like one black coffee. The moment you add the pastry, you introduce this whole cascade of decisions.
Oh yeah, like which coffee, which pastry.
Do they come together? Do you need the pastry heated?
Right.
The sheer density of micro decisions that need to be made in a matter of seconds, it creates a massive cognitive load.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
The bewilderment is just a natural psychological reaction to an asymmetric power dynamic.
Absolutely.
Person B feels evaluated by person A, and they are acutely aware that they don't know the local customs as well as the person standing behind the register.
And, consider the physical space, too.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a physical barrier, right? The counter, the espresso machine, the register, it all physically separates the expert from the amateur.
Oh, wow, yeah. The counter is literally a wall.
It is. And the amateur knows they are on the clock. There are people in line behind them shifting their weight, checking their phones.
So much pressure.
Yeah.
So if the bewilderment is basically baked into the architecture of the counter, how does the amateur, the bewildered customer, bridge that gap?
Well, they have to communicate.
Right, they can't just grunt and point at a croissant.
No.
Because they feel that power imbalance, they have to rely on a very specific social script to initiate the transaction safely.
They have to open the negotiation in a way that acknowledges the hierarchy without completely surrendering their agency.
Okay, which brings us to the first focus phrase of our source material, the opening gambit.
Right.
Can I get it?
It's an incredibly common phrase, but linguistically, it's deeply revealing.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I kept looking at the grammar of this phrase in our notes, and the sentence structure is entirely backward for a commercial transaction.
It really is.
The customer does not walk up and state a fact like, I want a coffee. They don't issue a command like, give me a pastry.
No, that would feel wrong.
They ask a question. And they don't even ask a question about the coffee itself. They ask a question about their own ability to receive the item. Like, can I get a...
Yeah, the function of can I get a is essentially a verbal cushion.
A verbal cushion?
Right. It's a mechanism of deference to person A's authority. By framing the order for the coffee and pastry as a question of possibility rather than a direct demand, the bewildered customer is attempting to politely navigate the transaction without upsetting the barista.
They're acknowledging the power imbalance right out of the gate.
Yes. They are essentially saying, I recognize that you are the gatekeeper of the caffeine, and I humbly request permission to acquire some.
Listeners, think about the last time you ordered something in a different context.
Mm-hmm.
I want to compare this to other retail environments for a second.
Okay.
Let's say you go to buy a pair of shoes.
Sure.
You don't walk up to the cashier, set the shoebox on the counter, and ask, excuse me, can I get these shoes?
You usually don't. You might say, I'd like to buy these, or you might just silently hand them your credit card. The transaction is just assumed.
Exactly, the transaction is assumed. Or think about a fast food drive-thru.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. You pull up to a speaker, you hear a disembodied voice, and you're much more likely to say something like, I need a number 4, or give me a large fry.
It's purely transactional.
Purely transactional. So why does the cafe demand this unique linguistic cushion?
Well, it's about...
Like, does this phrasing actually alleviate person B's bewilderment? Or does it actively reinforce their subordinate role in the transaction?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because if I'm already bewildered, starting my sentence with a question about my own capability seems like it just cements the fact that I have zero power here.
It's really interesting you bring up the shoe store and the drive-thru because the difference there is pacing and physical presence.
How so?
Well, in a shoe store, time is fluid. You browse, you bring the item to the counter, and the negotiation is essentially already over by the time you speak.
That's true.
Yeah.
No one is rushing you to pick up the shoebox.
Exactly. And in a drive-thru, you are physically shielded by your car. There is no face-to-face social pressure.
You're in a metal box.
Right. But in a cafe, time is the enemy, and the social pressure is immediate. You are face-to-face. So that linguistic cushion serves a dual purpose.
What's the dual purpose?
First, it alleviates the immediate social tension, because blunt commands in an intimate cafe setting are socially coded as rude.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the rude customer.
Exactly. But second, and you are completely right about this, it absolutely reinforces the subordination.
It's a self-preservation tactic.
Precisely. Person B is bewildered because they feel out of their depth, so they instinctively adopt a posture of linguistic submission.
Linguistic submission. Wow.
Yeah. Can I get a deck? Operates as a white flag. It tells person A, please guide me through this process. I yield to your expertise.
It really is a surrender right at the cash register. And, let's look closer at the word get.
Let's do it.
We don't say, can I purchase a coffee or can I buy a pastry? The word get implies receiving.
Yes.
It softens the commercial reality of the transaction into something that feels almost like a favor. Like, can I receive this from you?
It completely masks the fact that person B is a paying customer who is actually driving the economic engine of the business.
It's so weird when you think about it like that. The social script completely overrides the economic reality.
It does, and we can see this clearly if we imagine someone breaking the script.
Oh, I'd love to hear this.
Think about what happens if a customer walks in and just says, "Give me a medium drip coffee."
Oh, it feels aggressive.
It feels incredibly aggressive. Even saying, "I want a medium drip," feels a bit abrupt.
Yeah, what sounds like a toddler.
Right. We could say, "May I have," which is grammatically correct and very polite, but
But it often feels too formal for a neighborhood cafe. Like you're at a fancy dinner party or something.
Yeah.
exactly "can I get" is the modern colloquial sweet spot. It is casual enough to fit the cafe aesthetic, but submissive enough to respect the barista's territory.
It's fascinating. We're literally handing them our hard-earned money. But the systemic design of the space trains us to ask if we are fundamentally capable of receiving a muffin.
And that deference is exactly what allows the transaction to proceed smoothly.
So the customer successfully navigates this soft opening.
They do.
They wave the white flag, they use the verbal cushion, and they say, can I get a coffee and a pastry? But they aren't safe yet, are they?
Not at all.
Because once that request is out there floating in the air, the dynamic shifts again. The customer has surrendered, which means the power now sits entirely with the barista.
The negotiation enters its final and arguably most critical phase.
Right.
The customer has introduced the variables. Now, person A has to synthesize those variables and finalize the transaction.
And they do it by forcing a definitive, unavoidable choice.
Yes, they do.
This is where the source material points us to our final focus phrase.
To go or stay.
Notice the profound shift in tone and function here.
It's a complete 180.
Really is. You go from the soft, hesitant, questioning, "Hi, can I get a jadik?" to this rapid-fire staccato demand to go or stay.
What's happening here is that person A, the barista, is utilizing the ultimate grounding mechanism.
Grounding mechanism.
Yes, it is designed to cut completely through person B's confusion. Up until this point, the transaction has been somewhat abstract.
Abstract in what way?
It's been about desires, possibilities, and polite inquiries. But the barista doesn't validate the hesitation. They don't say, "Take your time," or ask how the customer's feeling about their day.
No, they don't care. They have a line out the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They ask a purely binary, logistical question that dictates the physical conclusion of the transaction.
Yeah.
It forces the bewildered customer to commit to an action in space and time.
Space and time. I really want to linger on that for a second.
Sure.
Because it ceases to be about the coffee itself, right? It becomes about your physical existence within the four walls of that business.
It actually reminds me of those old choose-your-own-adventure books.
Oh, I loved those.
Right, you have all these complex illusions of choice at the start. Do I want the dark roast? Do I want the almond croissant, oat milk, extra foam, whatever?
Or the micro decisions.
Yeah,
huh?
all that sprawling complexity abruptly funnels into this stark, unavoidable fork in the road. To go or stay. There is no third option.
There really isn't. You can't say maybe.
Right.
You can't say I'll decide later. And the abruptness of it is a deliberate tool of efficiency.
Because they have to keep the line moving.
Exactly. The barista isn't just making a drink, they are managing an entire ecosystem.
Managing the ecosystem, yeah.
They are managing a queue of people, they are managing inventory, and they are managing the physical environment of the cafe. They literally cannot afford to linger in the abstract, bewildered state with the customer.
So it's basically an assertion of control.
That's exactly what it is.
Wow.
To go or stay signals that the time for negotiation is over. It is time for logistics. Will you be occupying our physical space, utilizing a table, requiring a ceramic mug, a plate, and eventual busboy services? Or will you be taking these items in disposable packaging and leaving our domain immediately?
It's the barista firmly directing traffic.
Yes.
And if we look at how this plays out in real life, for you listening, think about how this rapid-fire pacing affects you physically as the customer.
Is very physical.
Think about the rhythm it creates in the room. You start with this hesitant, drawn-out, can I get a... which feels very legato, very slow and drawn out. And then you are immediately hit with the sharp, percussive to go or stay.
It creates a very specific pulse in the room. It's almost like a musical rhythm that really defines modern cafe culture.
It really is a call and response, but the tempo is strictly controlled by the caller behind the counter.
Completely.
And the barista's phrase is completely stripped of all pleasantries. There's no, would you like to enjoy this here with us today? Or, are you planning to take this with you? It is reduced to 4 words. And honestly, often just 2. For here or to go.
It is a linguistic algorithm optimized for maximum throughput.
A linguistic algorithm. I love that.
And for the bewildered person B, being hit with that binary choice can trigger two very different reactions.
Okay, what are they?
On one hand, it can be a relief.
Or relief. How so?
Well, finally, someone is giving them clear directions, the ambiguity is gone, the barista has taken the wheel.
Oh, I see.
But on the other hand, it can induce a sudden spike of panic.
Oh, definitely panic.
Because they suddenly have to make a definitive spatial commitment on a moment's notice.
That panic is so real. Because, I mean, what if you haven't looked around to see if there are any open tables yet?
Exactly.
You are so focused on trying to remember the difference between a macchiato and a cappuccino that you completely forgot to scout the room.
You didn't check your surroundings.
Right, so now you're standing at the register, you're holding up the line, and you have to declare your physical intentions for the next 45 minutes.
It's a lot of pressure.
If you say stay, but there are actually no chairs left, you've committed to awkwardly standing by the window holding a ceramic mug while everyone watches you.
It's a nightmare scenario. And that sudden pressure, that realization that you are unprepared for the logistical finality of the transaction is exactly why person B was classified as bewildered in the first place.
It all comes back to the bewilderment.
It does. The source material captures this entire emotional and structural arc using just the description of the roles and those two phrases.
It's brilliant.
The cafe isn't just a place to get food. It is a highly structured social proving ground where your ability to adhere to the script directly dictates your comfort level.
Which honestly brings us back to the regulars versus the tourists, right? Because a regular isn't bewildered.
Yeah.
A regular walks in, knows the barista's name, knows the menu inside and out,
Yeah,
and they usually preempt the binary question entirely.
they really do.
They'll just walk up and say, "Can I get a large drip to go?" They combine the soft opening with the logistical conclusion in one single breath.
Because the regular understands the algorithm.
Right.
They've mastered the script, so the power dynamic feels way less oppressive to them.
They bypass the friction.
Exactly. Person B is bewildered precisely because they haven't mastered the script yet. They are feeling their way through the dark, essentially waiting for the barista to prompt them on what to do next.
So, synthesizing everything we've looked at here, we started with an incredibly brief scenario.
Very brief.
Person A, person B, a coffee, a pastry, and just two fleeting snippets of dialogue.
Yeah.
But by looking closely, we've seen how this basic excerpt is actually a rich blueprint of human interaction.
It really is.
We've seen how physical barriers and knowledge gaps dictate authority in a room. We've examined how we instinctively use language to soften our demands, effectively asking for permission just to buy a muffin.
A muffin we are paying for.
Right, a muffin we are paying for. And we've seen how the illusions of consumer choice are ultimately funneled into strict binary demands that control our movement in space and time.
It reveals the massive amount of invisible cognitive and emotional labor that goes into what we normally think of as a simple, everyday transaction.
When you lay it all out like that, it completely changes how I view the counter.
Doesn't it?
It really does. We walk in thinking we are just interacting with a vending machine, just trying to input our money to get our pastry.
But the reality is quite different.
Very different. We are stepping into a complex theatrical performance, trying desperately to remember lines we never actually memorized.
Which, leaves us with a critical question to consider about the environments we move through every single day.
So what does this all mean for the listener?
Well, the next time you find yourself standing in line, acting in the role of person B, trying to order your coffee and a pastry, take a moment to consider the source of your own feelings in that space.
Check in with yourself.
Exactly. Consider how much of your bewilderment is actually yours, like a genuine internal confusion about what you want to eat or drink, and how much of it is completely manufactured by the rapid scripted prompts imposed by the environment itself.
That's the real takeaway here. The pressure is a feature, not a bug.
Yes. The abruptness of to go or stay is designed to force a reaction. It creates pressure.
It keeps the machine running.
Right, and it forces us to ask a larger question about our social conditioning. Do we use phrases like, "Can I get a do?" because we are inherently polite individuals choosing to be kind?
Oh.
Or do we use them because the systemic design of these commercial spaces silently trains us to ask permission to simply exist within them?
Oh, wow. It really makes you wonder how many other everyday interactions are governed by scripts we didn't even know we were reading from.
It's a lot of them.
I bet it is. Well, thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this breakdown gives you a little more clarity and, maybe a little more grace for yourself the next time you face the unscripted gauntlet of the cafe counter.
Absolutely.
Keep questioning the everyday interactions around you. Pay attention to the invisible scripts you're handed, and we will see you next time.